Hello, and welcome to The Game Changer, a series hosted by Kitman Labs, where we cover everything from sporting teams and sports science to cutting-edge technology.
I'm Stephen Smith, the CEO of Kitman Labs, and welcome to the Game Changer podcast. Kitman Labs are a sports science and analytics company helping teams to find meaning in their data to improve performance and reduce injuries. I am delighted today to welcome one of our clients and a very good friend, Mike Potenza, the head of strength and conditioning at the San Jose Sharks. Mike has been the head of strength and conditioning for the past 12 years with the Sharks, and he also oversees the strength program for the minor league affiliates, the San Jose Barracuda and the San Jose CA. Other projects, Mike is also the managing director of human performance for tactical fitness and performance, working with the United States Air Force pararescue teams within the National Guard Bureau. Mike has also worked with the University of Wisconsin, Harvard University, and Colgate University. After a CV like that, Mike, I'm not sure where to start, but thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No worries at all. So listen, we'll jump straight into it. There's so much that I want to get through today, and we've known each other for quite some time. I think that there's so much information and knowledge that you will be able to share with our listeners that I think will be hugely beneficial and will help them all on their sports science and performance journey. So going back to the start, can you let us know, like, how did previous experience in colleges such as Harvard and Wisconsin, how did that help to prepare you for the role that you're in today with the Sharks?
I was very fortunate at my collegiate career your responsibilities are that you have to work with like a main team on campus, and then you have to support all the other teams. So from a coaching standpoint, I cut my teeth, if you will, coaching a lot of different athletes, male, female, different sports, implement sports, swimming and diving, track, a lot of different roles and responsibilities for the athletes. So that was awesome for me because it helped refine my coaching skills. Harvard and Wisconsin was a step up from where I went to. I went to undergrad at a Division III school. Luckily enough, we had full participation from all 24 intercollegiate sports to train in the weight room. Springfield College is a great school for anything sport related that you want to study and go to and get an advanced degree. My exercise science background there was great in the lab, and then it was even better in the practical sense of being in the gym with the athletes. So when I got to Harvard and Wisconsin, and even my graduate work at Boston University, these were the top level hockey players collegiately in the country. And most hockey's unique because you can be drafted and then go back to school. So the teams pretty much have your rights, and then when you decide to leave school, or the team wants to sign you, or if you graduate as a senior, you can go play for that NHL team if they want you, right? Or a minor league team. So I got a chance to see step one of the developmental cycle for that young hockey player, which was massively beneficial. And then during the time at Harvard and at BU, I was lucky enough to work at a private training facility, Mike Boyle Strength and Conditioning in Massachusetts, where Mike was training professional hockey players in the off season, and there was a large team of master students and exercise science students from the area that Mike employed, and we got the chance to experience working with professional hockey players. So all of those experiences helped me to see, at least for hockey, what it was from cradle to grave in a sense, for a developmental plan.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, actually, the blend, even at that point in time, the blend of experience that you had from collegiate athletes and athletes are being drafted right through to pros that would have been working out with people like Mike Boyle. Tell me, like, given the fact that you were working across so many different sports within the collegiate environment, and then of course working with somebody like Mike Boyle, who's like considered one of the grandfathers of strength and conditioning or high performance, what was it like, and how much did you take from working with multiples of sports, and how much could you take from the developmental cycles of what you were doing with other athletes, and then bring that to your hockey athletes, how people were actually progressing?
Yeah, I think the two. It was funny because at Wisconsin was the point at which I was given men's and women's hockey. Those were my main responsibilities, and then I had wrestling and softball as my third and fourth teams. So the crossover that I was able to learn and pull from, and as I look back, it always had a presence in the teams that I had to work with or had been responsible for at different collegiate programs, was wrestling. And from a work ethic standpoint, but also from a anaerobic / work capacity standpoint, it was extremely valuable to learn some training lessons / unique and useful practices that I employed during different phases of our training cycle. And where it came in handy was in hockey. A lot of our coaching staff here in San Jose, each coaching staff I've been able to work with, really wanted to own the difficult areas of the ice along the boards in front of the net, and get on a forecheck, which is basically have your forwards go in on the opposing defenseman and bear down on them so they can give up the puck. So now you can work in the offensive zone. So there's a little bit of hockey knowledge for you, but so that style that they've wanted to play comes at a cost of high work capacity, a lot of strength, and a lot of anaerobic capacity. So wrestling kind of fit the mold, and it was extremely useful to this day that I call upon some of the training that we did, some of the lessons that we learned, and some of the, it's like for hockey, you can't just skate laps and expect to develop some sort of physical performance level. You have to bear down into the hard areas of the rink.
Yeah, no, totally. Whenever I talk to practitioners like you who have worked in multiples of sports and have been around for so long within the industry at that level, everybody always speaks about their experience in other sports and what they have done and how they specialized in other sports and how they brought that specialization to the sport that they're in today. Yeah. And I think that refinement of your skills, because you're in one sport, you tend to do the things that are always done in that sport, but being able to pull out different tools out of your toolkit and then implement them, like they're the things that really make a difference. It's just interesting to hear you, essentially say exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So given that you've been at the Sharks now for over a decade, what does give the listeners an insight into what does an average day look like for you when during the in season? What time do you get up at? What time do you start at? What do you do when you get into the office? Like what are the things that you're actually getting through every day?
Yeah. In season's very unique, right? So in a normal in season day at home, if it's a practice day, right? Because there's like version 1 and version 2. Version 1 is the practice day. So I try to get up early. I have 3 little ones at home, so I try to do my best to remain a present dad. So I'll get up at 6 a.m., do what I need to do from a making lunches standpoint, and then I'll make my way to work. I'll probably get to work around 7 o'clock. I'll use like 7 to 7:45 or 8 to train myself, and then be ready to start my day around 8:15, after getting a bite to eat, and then or shake or whatever we have available in the kitchen here at the facility. And then we're setting up the program for the day, which includes a warm-up that has tissue work, mobility work, locomotor patterns, and then if it's a training day, then we'll roll into that. So if it's a training day, we'll do it before practice. Practice is usually at 11 o'clock. So guys begin to come to the facility around 8:45-ish, 9 o'clock. We'll meet around 9:45, train till full warm-up, and then training until about 10:15, 10:20. And then 10:30, we'll have a team meeting. And then 11 o'clock, the guys will go on the ice. At that transition to 11 o'clock, we will then begin setting up monitoring, and we use first beat heart rate monitors, so that's our measure of practice, at least for from an internal load standpoint, right? We've been using it for years, and we found it to be really valuable from a work standpoint, based on heart rate zones and what we're looking at for intensities. So it's a little bit slower during the practice, which is about an hour. And then when the guys come off, we'll do some sort of personalized recovery, whether it be stretch with some guys or have recovery modalities available to the guys who want to use them. And then we start to, organize the gym, clean it up, and then any other work that we need to do. Kevin Neal, my assistant, is great with the importing of the daily data. Not only the heart rate data, but we also use, obviously, our Kitman questionnaire and weigh-in on our iPads. Guys do that first. I should have mentioned that earlier in terms of the workflow. But guys will come up, weigh in, do their questionnaire, and then they'll jump right into the warm-up, right? And that's pretty much it. Our day ends probably like around 3 o'clock in season, which isn't too bad. We don't have the long hours as in the NFL or the odd hours of baseball, but we're here every single day for 8 months, just to get through the in season. So game day is a little different. Game day, we come in the morning, warm up is on the board, more meetings. Everybody's out of the facility by noonish, and then we break for 3 or 4 hours. Come to the game facility around 4 o'clock for a 7:30 game, and then we're there until the game is complete, which is about, I don't know, we're there after cleanup, maybe like 11:30. And we do a little bit of training post-game when the schedule allows us to, because some days we just need to get in a training session that's based on strength, nothing explosive, nothing too heavy or too intense after the game, but we just have to get some basic strength work in, and we reserve that time to do it post game, and because the schedule is just insane. There's no form to it. There's 3 games in 1 week, 5 games in another week, and all different days. They all vary, right? With travel included. So that's a breakdown basically of our day, practice day, game day.
So given how nuts your schedule is with that number of games and the travel schedule that you guys have that ties in around that, how important is it for you to be able to get that strength stimulus, or to be able to give them some level of top up throughout the year? Like, do you look at it as in the season starts and it's all about maintaining, or can you guys get fit in developmental work? Can you look at improving specific qualities throughout the season?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's going to be a long answer, but I think it'll be valuable for people to hear. Like, I spent the majority of my first 8 years thinking, okay, I just got to maintain, and I got to maintain what the guys are coming in with, and they did a really good job of coming in prepared. The culture of off-ice training, or the culture of training away from the rink in hockey, has grown in the last 20 years, which is awesome. Throughout my time, our players have come in really good shape. There hasn't been a lot of guys who I've been like, wow, you are way behind. With that being said, I thought, you know what, we got to maintain this, we got to maintain it. But then that just became a kind of a garbage term for me, because as we were maintaining, we were just promoting monotony in the training schedule. So if I looked for the best times of the year to invoke some sort of intensity or some sort of stimulus, high stimulus, I would never find it. I would never find the perfect time to do it in that crazy schedule. So I basically said to myself, well, I really need to invest, or I need to promote more of not a developmental in season, but one that's not monotonous, and in terms of stimulus and load, and just really look to the best days that I can promote those two qualities in our program. And I found those over the last 3 or 4 years, and with great success. I'm very happy with our in-season program as it stands today, and what we do. In terms of communication with the players, it was definitely explained to them, hey, there's going to be some days where it's going to be heavy, but we're not going to have a long, drawn out, high intensity, high volume day. It's going to be very low volume with some periods of intensity. So and I'm not talking intensity in terms of circuits, that's for sure. We don't need work capacity in the middle of the year. We get plenty of that on the ice. We're just trying to look to get some high load strength work, some high velocity work, with lower loads, and we're trying to get some power work too. So in the form of looking at gym aware numbers and things like that. With the in season, we're able to look at that, and kind of a guiding light, which has been awesome the last year or so, has been the data that we're getting from our questionnaire. We've looked at questionnaires in the past, but when you look at it over time and are able to see how little sleep guys are getting after a game because they're so stimulated from a 7:30 game, they go to bed between 1 and 2 in the morning, and then they come to the rink 6 or 7 hours later. We have to adjust on the fly in many cases. But it also it acts as a compass for us to point our recovery modalities in the right direction, or to help that athlete find strategies to get a better sleep, or to get more recovery, or to figure out how to deactivate all the stimuli that are going on post game, right? So
that makes perfect sense. I mean, what you're saying is like the ability for sports science to actually allow you to individualize your program and tailor what you're doing for each of the individuals based on their specific needs. I mean, that's the key, isn't it? That's effectively what you're saying. And I think it's great also, like some of the research we've obviously been doing together, trying to understand the impact that different strength qualities or power qualities have on actual on ice performance. I think your mindset is totally aligned with ours in that. I mean, the research is showing us that those qualities are really important to affect on ice performance, and that means that we can't have a mindset of maintenance. We have to have a developmental mindset where we can improve these qualities throughout the year, because as things get towards the end of the season and the postseason, we want those qualities to be at their best, because we want to be winning games. We want to be making the playoffs. We want to be getting to the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to add too, we have like you said earlier, as the director, I'm also in charge of our minor league team that we're fortunate enough to have right next door to us in our facility, and that's only one of 2 situations in the NHL where the American League team is in the same city. Toronto also has their minor league team in the same city, which is terrific. It's great because when you call a player up, they only have to walk across the parking lot. They don't have to fly across the country like we used to do when our affiliate was in the Massachusetts area. So in that situation, my strength coach there, who I've known forever, Marcello Martinelli, we've been able to. Their schedule is like a 68 game schedule, which is much less than us. It provides a lot more time during the week for training and development, and it is a developmental league. You have players that are more condensed at a younger age, maybe 21 to 24. A couple veteran guys in the early 30s, which is kind of odd to call a veteran in the early 30s. But what's great is that you can train and develop a player in that situation. Even though it's professional hockey and you're playing a lot of games, you're not playing 82 games. In the East Coast, where it's more convenient to travel, they play close to 75 games or around that area, I think. But we've had success, and we have the numbers to show it throughout the course of the year, of guys, young athletes, young players who decide to go pro. We want them to come to our team. We don't want them to spend another year in Canadian junior or college, and they're good enough to play at this level, but they're physically behind a little bit, and we can implement a program that they physically develop in season at a pro level, which is great. I think that's pretty special. It's doable, but that goes along with the theme that we just discussed of it's not maintenance. We're looking for stimulus. We're looking for intensity. We want to make sure that we're not being monotonous in our training process. So.
And that's phenomenal. I think being able to give athletes exposure to like a professional environment, to games of that level, at a professional level, and also develop specific qualities that are important for the game, that's amazing for a young athlete to get that type of exposure. Listen, it obviously sounds really exciting, and we obviously have chatted about this multiples of time now. I think it is a really exciting period for you guys, and you showed it this year with your performance and getting through to where you got through. And I think there was probably more in that Sharks team than even where it finished in the playoffs this year. But hopefully we see more of that next season. Where, given that it is so exciting, where would you love to see data or technology take us next? Like, what's the perfect world for scenario for you in terms of where we can get to in high performance?
Yeah. For hockey, I will say, I'll get on my soapbox here for a minute. The collective bargaining agreement between the league and the players needs to come to an agreement where measurements can be taken from games. Right now, we have to make assumptions that of the cost of a game, and I think we're not that far off, but we truly want to know what the cost is. We're not allowed to monitor games in season, unfortunately. So they have to make steps to right that ship and come to an agreement that of how important the data is and what they can do with it and what the fan experience can be with that, but also how it relates to our workloads of how we're scheduling things during the year, right? It benefits them in that way, the players in that way too. Perfect world scenario for me is I want to be able to, and I think we're getting there, but I think I'm blessed enough to have 12 years of data, Stephen. I don't know, there's probably not many in our league, at least, and maybe in a lot of other leagues too, that can maybe call upon that historical data because the frequency of coaches turnover is pretty high. But I want to be able to do just that. I want to be able to look at historical combine numbers of guys we're interested in, and then have similar hockey statistical data, performance data, call up on that player, but then bring up similar players and in real time, bring it up quickly to compare past players of draft status that this young player now is scoring like. And then I'd like to do the same. I'd like it to be able to do the same with my current players. If we have two young players in our minor league system, where are they at? Who are they compared to physically at their age group at that particular time? And actually at that point of years served in pro hockey or played in pro hockey. I think that would be those are the questions I'm getting asked from management. Those are the questions that coaches are asking, and which are great. I think that would be tremendous. And any gains in on ice monitoring, GPS type work. I know there's some things that are out there, but I know that they have their shortcomings. But the tighter that data can get, the more reliable that data can get to within 2 or 3 feet instead of 5 or 6 feet of captured external load. That would be tremendous. So.
I think certainly lots of different areas that things can improve, from whether it is, the data quality or collection of data, whether it's like the understanding of that data, or whether it is, like you say, how we use the information to go and actually make sure that we're getting the right types of players, and that we continue to enrich our squad from the outside as well as the inside. So listen, Mike, thank you so much for coming on board today and chatting and sharing, your history and your knowledge and your insights and your beliefs around the industry. It's been massively beneficial from me as always. I think, I always love our conversations. I always love getting down to chat with you guys in San Jose. I think not only do you have a wealth of experience and knowledge, but you're one of the most innovative guys that we get the pleasure of working with. And I always love the constant questions that you guys are coming up with and the different ways you want to probe the data and understand different things about the athlete. You are a true game changer, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I appreciate our working relationship as well, Stephen.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for listening to part 1 of this 2-part series podcast. Make sure you join us for part 2 of this podcast, the Combine Special, where Stephen and Mike talk about talent KPIs, talent development, and talent scouting for the NHL.